Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Annie and this is Unity Consciousness. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I'd like to welcome our new subscribers and thank those of you who are returning for this week's energy update. As you've noticed, I'm not on camera today. I've decided to bring the outside to you. I've traveled to northern Michigan to my favorite place, Rivershire Retreat, helping a friend with her property. And I thought I would just bring the environment to you today and as we discuss the energy update. So let's get started. A lot of energy today. We did discuss this in the last video, and there's a couple things I want to expand on if I could, please. First, Pluto is retrograding back into Capricorn. That has already happened, and it's going to stay there. Pluto is going to stay in the sign of Capricorn until January 2024. And we'll then have, and it's going to go into Aquarius at that time. Then there'll be one final short, I believe it's a 2-month retrograde cycle where it will pull back into Capricorn before it finally rests in Aquarius until 2044. So what does this mean? You know, Pluto and Capricorn roots out all of the imbalances of power in big business, top-down authority structures. That's banking, it's, government, it's schools, it's, anything that has to do with that top-down authority or big business. And as it retrogrades back for this long transit, as I mentioned, it's here till January of 2024, what's left for you to work on relative to regaining or owning your power? This is certainly an opportunity to significantly transform a dysfunctional power dynamic as it sits in your world. Mercury also is moving into Gemini today. That has also happened. Mercury has officially moved into the sign of Gemini. That's its domicile. It loves being in Gemini. It's going to make really fast transit. It's only here for a couple of weeks before it moves on into the sign of Cancer. However, Mercury's move into Gemini tells us that we have choices. Gemini is all about the twins. It's choices, right? Polarities even can be. It's choices in our thoughts and actions, words and deeds. We've been handed a gift from the universe as as Pluto retrogrades back for an extended time in the sign of Capricorn. Check out your natal chart and see where the house of Capricorn sits in your natal sky. What house is it in? What does that house rule? Then instigate transformation as your awareness provides momentum for change. Be open to receive the power of transformation in all its forms. For example, Pluto sits in my third house, and using my sun sign, sits in my third house. And that's my house of family. There have been so many dynamic family changes since Pluto entered Capricorn back in 2008. Yes, that's a very long time. So now we've really sorted through so many power dynamic structures that needed to be in balance. They needed to be addressed. Now it's my final opportunity to sit back, think about what structures, what power dynamics within the family structures do I need to continue to transform and take accountability for my actions within that. And then be open. As I said, be open to receive the power of transformation in all its forms, because the universe really truly does know what's best. Then also today we spoke about this too. Venus in the sign of Leo is going to square Jupiter in Taurus. Again, very fast moving energy, but I want you to be mindful here. Venus is going to make a couple of transits this week, but certainly cosmetic procedures, purchases, relationships that are instigated for the purpose of a show of wealth or vanity. It's probably not going to go as planned. Venus is going to quincunx Saturn on Tuesday, looking for ownership or accountability on some of these choices, and then sextile Mercury on Saturday. She's going from a place of purposeful vanity that could be over the top to the twins, trying to find where accountability lies, as I mentioned, and then resting at a place of heart-centered mindfulness. Clarity comes as the week progresses, that's for sure. If you have a large purchase or a medical procedure that has to do with cosmetic upgrades, or a new relationship that you're super excited about started over the weekend and it just seems too good to be true, you might want to pump the brakes on all that and just wait for some clarity, because it certainly will come this weekend. Again, we've got Mercury. Mercury in the sign of Gemini is going to bring all kinds of information your way. There's no doubt about it. Those twins are going to give us lots of choices. Choose wisely, that's for sure. Then on Saturday the 17th, Saturn goes retrograde in Pisces at 7 degrees. Please allow me to take ownership of not explaining this further in the last video. I mentioned we'd get to it, and then I realized it was still in my notes. I had not discussed it, so I want to bring it back up. And Saturn returns can be tough, that's for sure. I've just been through my second Saturn return of a Saturn in Aquarius. And when you are in the thick of a Saturn return, the last thing you think of is revisiting something for the purpose of accountability, because Saturn is asking us to be accountable. And in case you're wondering if it's your Saturn return time right now, it would be your first Saturn return that you are experiencing now. If you were born between May 21st of 93 and June 30th of 93, or January 28th of 94 and April 7th of 96, this would be your first Saturn return that is putting restrictions in your path for the purpose of gaining wisdom. And for those of you who have moved on past that first cycle, which usually presents around the 28th, 29th birthday and can carry through to your 30th, 31st birthday, the residual effects, this can be a really tough time. You're really becoming an adult. You're making adult choices, doing adult things, and there can be some restrictions in place for purpose there. Now, your second return, if you were born March 23rd, 1964 through September 16th, 1964, or December 16th, 1964 through March 3rd of 1967. This is your second Saturn return. Yes, you've had your first return when you were about to turn 30, and here we are again. You're in your late 50s, and now you're beginning to feel the pangs of Saturn providing restriction in specific areas of your life for the purpose of gaining wisdom. You know, You've really tested the waters. I like the fact that Saturn went into the sign of Pisces back in March. So you've had a couple of months of Saturn return in your world. And you've tested the waters of this return. You understand the dynamics a little bit. And now it's time to use this energy to your advantage while it's in retrograde. You know, take a look at your natal chart. Where does it fall in your natal chart? What themes are presenting? Go with the flow for sure. I've learned in my second Saturn return, I was closely paying attention and much more adept and aware of my spirituality and gifts at that time. So I was able to really observe the situation and certainly go with the flow. I'm not going to say I enjoyed every minute of it and just absolutely loved it, because I would not be honest by doing that. But I did go with the flow, and I accepted responsibility for what was mine. And guess what? I gained wisdom in the process. When it was done, I was able to take a quick look at things, or a long look at things, and recognize the growth. You know, the purpose of Saturn in our lives, like I said, is to provide structure. If there was no structure, my goodness, there would be no accountability. So with Saturn going retrograde for the rest of us, I love this. Saturn is the taskmaster, truly holding us accountable. And with the taskmaster being on vacation, it can bring lots of free time, shall we say. So it's important to carry on with the tasks at hand, with your goals and objectives, knowing that when Saturn re-engages, turns and goes direct, that you will be held accountable for any things that have not been kept up during a retrograde season. Okay, like I said, go with the flow, however. With this taskmaster being on vacation, there may be some ease that you notice, ease that comes to you, well, take that ease with responsibility and continue to uphold the level of integrity that you had prior to. Don't, Saturn holding you accountable is good, and it's healthy to have in your life. And then you can take over when times like this and Saturn is actually retrograde. Now, some things on a collective level, when Saturn is retrograde in the sign of Pisces, there can be some flooding, because Pisces is all about water, and Saturn wants to restrict that water. And when it goes retrograde, that means there's a lot of water flowing. So there could be some floods on a collective basis. And also spirituality can be, it can waver. If you feel like you thought you could trust something and now you can't, well, that could be part of the Saturn retrograde cycle as well. It's really about a reality check moment. And when Saturn is changing directions, going stationary to retrograde, it really is at the height of its power. So we could really feel some of this energy as the week progresses. Then next Sunday on the 18th, there is a new moon in Gemini, ruled by Mercury. Set a new intention. It's a new moon. It's a new intention. I would use Mercurial themes or Gemini themes. That's, expeditious communication. Gemini is all about connection and sociability. So if any of that rings a bell to you and you want to set an intention for that, please do so wherever Gemini falls in your chart. If it's your first house, obviously set an intention that has to do with your first house things. Or, take a look at your natal chart and make sure you set an intention that matches with the energy that you would like to put out there during this new moon. So when there's a full moon in about 6 months, you can see what advancements you've made in that period of time. And Gemini is all about the choices, right? And during this moon, please, it's going to be strong for the next couple of weeks. It's just a regular moon. It's a new moon. It's not an eclipse by any means. But there are some tense aspects. So please use your Gemini-themed choices as you deal with some of the aspects of this moon. So we've got Neptune is square the new moon, meaning there could be some ambiguity. Pluto is quincunx, so we could have some power dynamics that can be tricky here. Maybe toying with trying to see how things fit from a power dynamic. And Neptune, let's get back to that real quick. Neptune at 27 degrees is actually forming a T-square with the galactic center, which is a point of measurement, right? The new moon with this T-square, at the time of the new moon, you could have some pretty profound dreams. I love this. Keep your dream journal handy. Keep it close to your bed, because truly, once you become fully conscious, you might lose the dream. So just ask yourself some questions before you go to bed about directional things, some assistance that you may need, and then keep that journal handy. You may get the answers you need in the middle of the night in your dream state as we are seeing this Neptune square the galactic center. And that's going to be, that is a long-term transit. And it could very possibly increase your psychic sensitivity to help you be a better galactic citizen. That's for sure. Use your intuition as a guide as things get tense, if they get tense. Keep expectations in check, especially if things are foggy. Best advice for this new moon is to stay present, take responsibility where it's needed. Saturn's asking us to do that, and stray from fear-based thinking, right? Pluto is now retrograde back in the sign of Capricorn. So be mindful of fear-based thinking and some of the after effects of that. Next week, we'll have Venus entering shadow for an elongated Venus retrograde cycle, joining the other planets. Neptune goes retrograde on the 30th, and Neptune is going to join Pluto and Saturn, the other outer planets going retrograde. And I got to tell you, when outer planets are retrograde, it's cause for introspection and pivoting back and review, a time of review. Time to be present, be mindful, and be at peace, for sure. Well, that's all I have for you this week. I did pull a card, and it's a little puzzling to me, so I used the Journey Tarot deck today. Let me get that deck out here. Cassie Yule. It's a deck from her, and the card for today is the King of Pentacles. Let's read what the book says. It's just a very short description today. Bathe in the abundance all around you and everything you've created. Mastering the physical is a gift to be savored and enjoyed. Well, I love that card. I do love that card. I just, for the life of me, can't figure out how that would fit into this week's energy. If you've got an idea, please post it in the comment section. I'd love to hear your thoughts on why that King of Pentacles jumped out for us today. Well, I hope you have a fabulous week. If you enjoyed this video, please do click the like button. If you know somebody that could be helped by this video, please do share it with them. If you want to know when videos are being dropped, please click the subscribe button and you'll be notified. I love the comments. Please keep them coming. And like I said, if you can figure out why the King of Pentacles jumped out for us today, given this week's energy, please do share with me. I'm very interested in hearing your comments. Have a fabulous week. Namaste.